Alrighty. Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It's the last day of the month. And we start the new month tomorrow, which will be interesting. We'll be going into the last two months of the year. All right, what do we got going on this morning? I guess, same old, a little confusing still on one thing. I'm not sure. Wonder what's going on in Switzerland. I see all kinds of interesting statistics, but more than that is that the currency seems to be losing against the dollar when we're watching the cable, and the euro gain against the dollar. So watching that, a lot of that end year stuff, we always talk about it. We try to remind everybody here, every year we mention it to you, is that going into the last couple weeks of November and somewhere's going into the last couple weeks or the first couple weeks of December, there's like a what would you call it? You would call it sizing up the books. That's what they call it, sizing up the books. And what happens is that they start to try to close out things that have not been closed on the books. And because they didn't close them, there was no pressure on prices. And then all of a sudden, there's pressure on price action on certain areas. And this might be it, because we're watching, you see the up on J4X there. Oh, here you go. All the stats have come out too. Was that GDP for, who is that for? That's a U.S. GDP. It should be coming out. Employment cost index is up 1.10% right there. So it seems to me that they may be starting to size up the books a little early. They might be trying to get out of this stuff and close it out. And because of that, we're seeing the euro and the cable, the British pound, gain against the dollar. And we're watching the Canadian, and we're watching mainly, it's kind of half and half with the yen, but it's been consistent with the Swiss, and that's the only thing that's caught my eye more than anything else. We'll take a quick look at that right now. There, see here. You see where the euro is gaining against. Oh, wrong screen. Let's give you the right screen. Now you see right here, the euro is gaining against the dollar. Same thing with the cable at the moment. It's gaining against the dollar for the last 2 days, and then we go and we look at the Swiss, and the only way it's gaining against the dollar is it has to go down like that, not up. So it's been losing against the dollar, and it is not stopping. It seems to just keep on pushing on the upside. So I'm starting to think that the situation at the beginning of the year of at end of last year and the beginning of this year of was it Credit Suisse? I think it was Credit Suisse that they had to do carry trades, and they had to prop it up, and the Federal Reserve gave a carry trade, or gave the official government bank in Switzerland money to be able to float to it, and so they lent them money there, and they may be doing that right now. They may be sizing it up, and that's why we're seeing the Swiss not participate with the other currency pairs. And that's got my eye. It's what it says to me. There's not a lot you can learn from that more than know that how do I phrase this again? It shows us that that things are not calm. Okay, that's what it shows us. And all that movement when we here we can go back and just show you really quick. Matter of fact, we should probably do it on J4X. It's even easier to do on J4X. Here's J4X. We're going to put the Swiss up on there, right there. And then we're going to just squeeze it like that and show you that issue. Let's see if we can move this over more for you. You can see that issue at the beginning of 2023, basically right here. There's the fourth quarter. They had pushed it all the way up. The Federal Reserve lent money to the National Bank of Switzerland, and it straightened it out. And the product had gone from like 88 all the way up to like 101 over. Let's see if we can get this. There it is. Matter of fact, it was 87, not 88, over that time period when the bank was having problems. And so we saw the Federal Reserve come in, and we actually saw those transactions, so we weren't guessing about them. And then it straightened it all out and brought the currency back and made even a new low. But it's been not dealing with it very well. You can see that right there. It's been lifting, and remember when they can. Happy Halloween. Oh, cool. Getting happy Halloween thing. There we are. And so that's just something that catches my eye. Maybe they're doing it a little bit earlier. We're getting ready to go into November. Usually we see some of these things happen anywhere from the second or third week in November all the way into the last couple of weeks or the first couple of weeks of December. And then even the last week we see where the Fed reports who they've been lending capital to on a 30-day period. And all of a sudden you see billions out of nowhere being lent to some country or some national bank somewhere, some foreign some finance minister type of thing. So I just thought I'd mention that because it seems like it's happening a little bit earlier, and you can see that they've been reaching for it. Now let's just use the and there's no doubt that the euro, when we look at the euro at the same time, it had the same problems, but then it stopped, and you can see. We had a little correction here, but overall, it's been gaining against the dollar. Okay, and so it's just something to think about. That means that what it really tells us that there could be a teeny surprise here or there. Our math usually picks up on it, so I'm not worried about it. But I think it's well worth it's confirming. It's like when we're trying to understand China. In other words, we can't exactly understand China because we can't trust their numbers, and so. When we see actually like defaults for such little money, like 10 million, $15 million, $20 million, $50 million, when they're $1 billion projects, that's really odd to see that type of thing go on. Something's $11 billion project, you think you could find $15 million left over somewhere to help it, but they can't. They go into full default, which is really strange. So anyway, we use these tools to try to understand what they're doing. That's what it comes down to. Anyhow, let's get back over to the pairs trade. We'll start off again with the go back to the dollar index, and if anybody has a question, please be my guest, ask. But let's get the dollar index back up there again, and as you can see, it's the second day. There it is. Second day in a sell, pressing down. We're seeing the same thing over here on our algorithm right there. Same thing, pressing down, and it's flirting with the weekly sell. We see that there. Over on, where's it at? Right there. Yeah, I see the same thing going on. You go look at our beta platform right now. Same thing. It's breaking down on the daily, and the weekly is doing the same thing. They're feeling that pressure. See it aiming down. So that kind of makes some sense. Now, like I said, they may be starting to balance the books. In other words, they like to close out the books balanced for the year. I know that sounds kind of funny with all the debt flying around on the planet, but they do. Central banks like to kind of like put the year behind them. In other words, okay, let's know what our problem is, what's left over, how much do we owe next year, that type of thing. They try to, put their budget together, and by balancing their books, it allows them to figure out what their budget will be. My first sip of the tea during the webinar. Sorry about that, traders. So that's where we stand with the dollar index. Now let's jump over go back to the euro. Let's see what the euro is looking like. We're going to throw it also up on the trading platform, the beta platform too. All right, there is Canadian. There it is right there, 60F. And you can see that rising just like it's doing right here. There it is. And you can see that same thing going on. And you can see that weekly buy trying to join in, showing life into it. And we got that same thing, just a quick look on the beta, like so, doing the same thing. And then we slip over to the J4X and we put up the euro there. All right. And now you can see right there doing the same thing. Strength is kicking up. And let's see what our weekly looks like over on J4X too. Yep, you see the green last week and the green this week, and you see the fast is up at 56, the slow's at 43. Last week it was, let's see where was it at last week? Last week it was at 38, and this was at 32. So this is a second week in the buy there with the euro. So the pressure is consistently now on the upside, and again now. The European Union and the remember, European Union is the second largest economy in the world. I know somehow or another everybody wants to pretend that China is, but it's not. It's the European Union. It's the second largest economy in the world. And so the numbers bear that out very clearly. And so they may be more comfortable in some ways. In other words, they've kept interest rates more stable. They followed America, not led America and the world. So they may be in. I know they have a lot of debt, like everybody else does. It's just as much as U.S. and Greece and Japan and China. They're all in debt, just like them. But the thing is that this may be a little bit more smoothed out. So we might be seeing, right now the euro is being bought a little bit more. It looks like a nice little base in there, so we might be starting to see something. We see a weekly. It's the first time in 3 months that we're actually above the weekly number, so that's got to mean something. It means obviously they're buying and then selling. Hey, Janos, what is the outlook for the dollar today? Down. I would say down against the euro and the cable, and obviously up against the Swiss and the Canadian. And let's see, where's the yen at right now? Let's just take a quick look at the yen. I think it went into the sell again yesterday, or it went into the buy yesterday. No, I think it's in the sell, and the day before it was in the buy. Oh! Yowzer! There's the yen. They've spiked that poor thing up to almost to the 151. So, and it's in that weekly buy, so it just won't let go. So every time it tries to do a little selling, They refuse to move the longer term trend, and it keeps us away from being short. And ouch, zoom to the moon. There's the other one. You know what? How many times have we seen the yen against the dollar and the Swiss against the dollar march together? It really, it's fascinating how they seem to be very well locked together. Not sure what that's all about. I can speculate, but the guess to me is. That they're both been investing interlocked ways, Let's see. I am the only one getting errors today in the chat line. Oh, really? You're getting errors? I don't see anything. With the sizes of the economies is like elections. Elections, yeah. It does not matter who and how votes. It matters who and how counts the votes. Yes, I see what you mean, yeah. Yeah, yen reacts to BOJ. Now, this morning it wasn't as bad, but obviously it's reacted even more aggressively, that's for sure. Ooh, what's this Dukascopy let's click on that. Let's see what that does. Oh, there's the article. Okay, cool. So you got Bank of Japan continues easy policy. Yes, they moved the long-term bond with 100 BIP range or something like that. They said that they're willing to allow it to do, 100 bips, 100 points, one full. I guess it'd be like one full percentage interest rate, 1 full percent. So that seems to be what's going on there. Major. What's that? Let's see. How do we? What is that? What's this block report stuff? What is that? No, I don't want to block any report. The chat line, yeah, now I got the error too by clicking on that. Yeah, I got that too. Major article published today. Nice, I like the article. They said that they won't do much against the inflation. Right. They're hoping to do something, but they're not. Well, the new chairman of the central bank in Japan said that he was going to research it for the next 6 months to a year. So the central bank has redefined its 10-year bond yield. Yes, the one target from rigid limit. Right, exactly. BOJ could allow the rate to reach above the 1% mark. Well, they are in stagflation, and they have been in stagflation, and they have not really come out of that situation. And so we have, and I agree with you. It's like the votes. It's who counts the votes. And when it comes to economics, exactly. That the fake. I mean, we have Biden does the same thing. Keeps on telling everybody that he's created 14 million jobs in America, and the real number is almost flat. So he's, instead of saying unchanged, he says it's 14 million, and the media loves it and drinks it in. I had to have that sip of tea. There we go. So yeah, I agree there, and so that's the action we're really seeing there. Let's see, we're at the euro, and let's go to the cable. Let's take a closer look at the cable. Cable firm, playing with the weekly number. Look at that. It's just 0.00032. It's a plus. It's on the inch by the hair of its chinny chin. Just on the edge. Where's that mouse at? Right there. Right there. And you can see right here, cable on J4X. Not that one. That one. And you see the same thing, a couple days in the buy, pressing up just like here. You see, this action. So what, it's interesting. Cable and the euro, very comfortable. Two true independent economies. Switzerland and is not, and Japan are not connected, but for some reason they trade a lot alike. So they must have some of the fundamental issues that we all don't really pay attention to, but they must have some influence, because that's what we keep on seeing is throughout the last year and a half, the two of them have traded in lockstep. Now, they stepped away from each other a little bit there about 5-6 months ago. But here we go again. It's right back in the saddle, and the Swiss and the yen are moving in the same directions again. Over. Same directions. All right. From there, we go back to the Swiss. Right there. Nope, not CAD Swiss. Swiss chocolate. Chocolate watch Swiss. There we are. And you can see it there. And it's up at the high end of the range at 89 on the fast, 89.3 to be exact, and the slow is at 85.4. So they're pushing on that at the same time. And the Swiss doesn't seem to, whatever's going on, I think it's sizing up the books. They were lent a lot of money going into this year and the end of last year. They're probably trying to size up the books. In other words, how many times have we seen even the Exchequer in England at the end of like 2 weeks or 3 weeks before the end of the year, all of a sudden size their books up, and the next thing you know, they're paying this large sum of capital to the Federal Reserve in the United States. They're paying back a loan, and that's what we mean by sizing up the books. What they do is they may have loans outstanding borrowed from the Federal Reserve, and what they do is they want to flatten their books out for the year so that they can re-budget again for the following year. And so we may be seeing that now with the Swiss, because the Swiss has been acting a little bit it's not acting with the euro, and it's not acting with the cable as much. All right. So from there, where do we go from there? Let's go over to the yen, which we've also already looked and saw. Ouch. Poor yen. Poor yen. Look at it. 150.93. We're looking at 40-year highs. That's I see these articles. I saw it again this morning. I see them all the time in the Japanese marketplace. And they're always talking about the idea of, we're going to come out of this, slow economy. They like to call it slow, or the mild inflation. They always call it mild. It's stagflation. It's an expression where it's a static economy with inflation. So it's stagflation. It's not moving. The GDP is not going up, and the inflation is moving up slowly at the same time. which is kind of what the Federal Reserve is trying to do, slow the economy here so that it can knock down the inflation. But it doesn't work that way. Inflation is a problem of lack of inventory, lack of growth. You grow out of inflation. You don't stifle growth. You stimulate growth. But you do it in a way through legislation. Take the government out of your pocket, basically. So you don't raise taxes. You don't find new ways to generate money. Instead, you reduce regulation and let free enterprise blossom. And that's one of the problems with a lot of these economists. They're still part of the old era of like a European. In the United States, we call it European socialism, and that is where government is controlling industries and trying to limit who gets contracts, and it doesn't always match up to the economics. So we call that European socialism here in the States. I know that you probably don't. You hear us whine about socialism, but we actually have there's communist socialism, and then there's European socialism, and so forth and so on. Yeah, unfortunately, they say there's 1,000 economists at the Federal Reserve throughout the Federal Reserve System that are socialists. It's like, what? They are the sons and daughters of the ones who benefited from the already income. Yes, exactly, from the existing system. Exactly. And they're not worried about anybody else benefiting. That's the problem. Yeah, totally. Totally. You're right there, Janos. Totally, 100%. All right, and then there's the yen. You can see it there, marching all the way up to that 94 area. And obviously it's got a good shot at closing in a buy today, and matching with that long-standing weekly buy from all the way back in August, back here in late July. Just right at the beginning. July. I think July was the same way as August is here. July and August was the middle of the week. So Wednesday's going to be November. Yeah, tomorrow will be November. Same thing back in July. I believe the middle of the week might have been that way. Let me just take a look. I think it was. I think it played out that way. Or our holiday made it feel like that, one or the other, because we were closed on the 4th. Let's see. Yeah, Monday was the 31st, and Tuesday was July, and then it was a short week, so because we had Friday off. So that's what it was. It was same situation in the middle of the week, a shift, and books and dollar cost out. For those that follow the way, what do you call it? Funds and retirement funds and hedge funds and so forth function. Yeah, I know. Well, we're seeing it in the United States. We're getting more reform than ever. We keep on pushing. Trump really pushed. The last president pushed very hard for reform and did a pretty good job. We're still functioning on half his reform. We're functioning on all of his reforms. Biden has tried to stop what he did, but he can't stop it all. So he can. I guess you can say he can jam a screwdriver into the gears. That's about it. But he can't change the direction of the wheels turning, and that's what it comes down to. And so, we figured it. And now that we have a House of Representatives that have the same philosophy, they can also reduce it. And that's what the fight was all about: is to get a supply side. Free marketeer as Speaker of the House. That's why we had to go through all that stuff. So, all right. From there, we slide over to the Turkish lira and see what that's doing. We take a look at the Euro Turkish lira, and there it is right there. It seems to be marching up above the 30 area too. They're all having their issues. The dollar is strong against the euro and the cable are strong against the dollar, and then the rest of the currencies are falling off the seat. You can see here it had it up to, I have a high now of 30.42 today. When we scrunch that thing up, you can see where the interest rate shift, they did 100% interest rate. So they went from 12.5% to 25%. So it was a 100% move in interest. And it didn't really do too good a job, and I doubt they're going to lower it back to 12.5 at this point. They have that same problem. They choose to tax and spend in Turkey and not let free markets function. So the free markets are the black markets, and that doesn't really benefit the country. The government, and the government gets crazier about it, and they try to punish it. It turns into a self-fulfilling prophecy of nothing, disregard of reality, fantasy, as Giannis basically is insinuating what it is, how it's working with the politicians and the economies. And so, matter of fact, they just told Mr. Biden, this is what you're going to do. And he was like, no. And I said, well, then we're not handing you any other bill but that, so you have to come up with your own bill. And see, the House of Representatives, all bills have to start from the House. So it makes it very hard for Mr. Biden to fight. And that's why Mr. McCarthy is gone, is that he was willing to work with them a little bit. And we don't want him to work at all with them anymore. We're tired of it. After $33 trillion, no more working. Just do the job. Pay the money. Bring me the money. Stop taxing us. Matter of fact, I don't know if anybody knows that there was Biden put in his budget to add $80 billion, not million, $80 billion to the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, to charge that collects taxes. $80 billion to collect taxes. To add $80 billion to them. That's insane. So the House did stop that. And now they're taking that money that he put in the bill, and they're saying they're going to give it to Ukraine and Israel and a few other countries, and Taiwan and so forth. They're actually designating it for things that will be much more functional. And he said no way, not willing to do it. By the way, could we look at Tesla? And yeah, I know, because they've been selling them down, aren't they? They've knocked them down since the webinar started, as far as I can tell. Let's go over to, and we'll see where we at. Let's just show you what's going on in the S&Ps right there. He said he knocked it while we're talking. We started the webinar right here, and they were trading almost at 4,200. They've drove it down to 4188-ish, 87.75, and now they ran it back up to 191, almost 192. You can see it's 191 and a half, 192 basically. You can see S&Ps are starting to perk up again. Let's see how our intraday is looking, then we'll jump over to those other products. It pushed it into the sell here. It's still in a sell on the medium-term intraday, and on the long-term intraday, the largest of them all, it's still in the buy with no problem. So we'll keep an eye on that. Now let's take a look at what Giannis was talking about. By the way, let's see. So Tesla. Let's go to Tesla. Let's see how Mr. and Mrs. Tesla are doing. Open Sesame. Now the Fed meeting starts today also, so we've got the talking heads yakking away on that. Now there's Tesla. It's down a little bit for today. That is today live at the moment, trading at 196? 195.76. You can see that pressure sells for a while and the weekly sells for a while. So there's Tesla. So the pressure is there. Would be interesting to see when they finally start to turn it up through the manifold again. So far, nothing. Same thing. That's the weekly. On the daily, same situation. It's been in the daily sell for 3, 6, 9. This will be the 10th day in a sell. All right. Next one was, let's see, Meta. Let's see how Meta is doing. And there's Meta. Meta is the same way. It's kind of up a little bit for the day. It's trying to close into the buy, starting to go into the buy today. That's nice. We are in a one. Let's get that in there. We need to put a weekly sell in there. It fell into the sell last week. Had been in a daily sell for a bunch of days. Let's see. Click, click, click. and click. There we are. So you can see here, pushed into the sell, both the fast and the slow on the weekly, and it's just hovering at this point. But there's a nice little bounce that's starting to develop here. And you can see that it went into the sell up in here in the 315, 320 area, 310 area, 315-ish. And you can see it's fell all the way down to 280. And this was, the fast was underneath at the same time, most of it. This was obviously the winner chicken dinner part right there when it broke down even more. But you can see that pressure in there. And now we're trying to bounce back up again on the Meta. So Meta is trying to lift. Let's see. And then we go to Google. Google. The large sum. There's Google. It's trying to get into the buy today also right there. And we've been in a weekly sell for 2 weeks. I'm not sure why we don't have a line in there, but let's get that in there. There we are. And so that pressure is there. And then you can see it's trying to get into the buy now. And it would be interesting to see if the weekly starts to turn up. It's been an interesting, it's been in a daily sell since the 120, what is that, 137 area. Oh, it did climb into the buy, but we didn't take that as a buy, I think, because by the end of the day, it was the number was here, so it's not a buy. That's why there's no line in there. But we've never tried to adjust that. We just leave it as it is. And we're going to try to, you can see it on the spreadsheets and so forth. It's still in the sell, but today it looks like it might get into the buy. Who's next? And US 500. Okay, let's take a look at the big chart, not just the intraday chart. And there is, the dollar's lifting up a little bit from it, so I guess interest rates have gone the other way. We'll look at the 30-year bond in a few seconds too. And so there it is, 192. And we're trying to play with the daily buy. Weekly needs a lot of work, but notice that the fast is being superseded by the slow. So maybe we got some chance here for some bouncing. I think it's going to try to work its way back up to the 200-day moving average. At least get to halfway there, say to the 42.25 to 42.50 area, something like that. All right, now let's see, where else are we? Oh, okay. I am limiting myself to watching mostly 4 tickers during the day. That's good. That is you're young. You should be able to do that. I hear you. Besides the currencies. Yes, exactly. You should be able to handle that. You'll have no problem. So, let's see. Now, that's that. That is the S&P 500. And from there, I know what I want to look at. I want to look at the 30-year bond. The 30-year bond is still up. You know, they're not knocking it down. So, you know, it's been in a daily buy now since here. It hasn't really gone anywhere, but it's been in a buy since back in here. We just need to see the weekly start to show some life. So, that's the action. And we've seen the Dow now move down from being up 140 down to only up 3 points. So, we'll see as they try to lift this back up again. Since they're not beating the bonds up, I would say that that's a positive. Yeah, see, we're now 193, and you know we're moving up again. I'm not sure what the data exact. Futures flat on last trading day of October, and dollar cost averaging might be coming in again. They may start to reach in for this stuff. So, must be a Dow stock that's feeling more pressure than the rest of them. Okay, so from there, we'll go back to, I know where we go from there. From the Turkish lira, we go to the largest brick in the world. Let's close that. Close workspace. There we are. And here is the largest brick in the world, and that is the dollar-rand pairs trade. And you can see here that's been acting very well the last couple of days. You know, trying to, they sold it down here, got into a sell there. It's not really gone anywhere particular. It's playing with the weekly sell as we speak. So that's usually a bullish sign for gold and the metals complex in specifically. So let's take a look at that area. And let's put the brick right up on the screen on J4X there. There it is. And you see that brick's been moving down. Let's take a look at gold this morning. Not there. Right there. So there's gold. And you see gold is up a little bit today than yesterday. It's kind of roaming around. Let's see if we can just give that a readjustment. I mean, I thought yesterday was a little bit more dynamic than what we're seeing on the screen. So let's make that the default. Yeah, that's a little bit better there. There you go. So you can see here it's pretty much unched. And that is the gold. And we were playing around with, I forget what we were playing around with, the bounce. But we can get rid of the Fibonacci. Oh, I think we were treating this as the high and see what kind of correction comes out of it. That's what it was. I'm going to remove that. So let's do this. Let's save that. Save workspace. And right there. So there's the gold. It's kind of unchanged even with the South African rand moving down, gaining against the dollar. Let's take a look at silver. Silver actually is falling a little bit more. It's trying to get into the weekly buy after last week's sell. It's been staying in that daily buy. Because, I think we had a red-green here at one point. I'm not sure what's up with that. We'll have to double check it. Either way, it's definitely in the buy right there. Sometimes these charts like to change, and I have to go clean them up. So there's silver. Now from there, let's take a look at copper. The eyes of China. Been in a buy for 3 days. Still in the weekly sell now for a total of 9 days. 9 weeks, I'm sorry. 2, 4, 6, 7, I'm sorry, 7 weeks. It's been in a weekly sell for 7 weeks. Doesn't seem to be really able to get going, and I don't find anything. No, there's no growth, in China. Without that growth, matter of fact, I understood this morning the manufacturing index came in close to 51 or something like that. Just 50 is considered minus. So, in other words, they need to be growing past 50, and it keeps on coming down. I don't understand their thoughts over there. They don't make any sense. So I'm not even going to get into that one. But yeah, there's no growth in that sector or that country because of those reasons. So. All right, now last one we look at is platinum, which really made a nice jump there yesterday. Now, what's wrong with that thing again today? It shouldn't be like that. It should be even bigger. All right, I'm not going to play with it too hard, but in the end result is it's still firm and acting well and trying to get into a weekly buy. Now, we do believe around here that when we see platinum showing strength, that is usually a sign that the metals market's going to hold up. Now, we have silver bouncing around in a circle. Can't figure out if it wants to go up or down. We got gold flat up in here, which we think is trying to tell us that maybe there's this is the base. And they're going to try to take it up into the 2000s because it's hanging on to 2000 now. You would think going into the end of the year, there's a lot of buying, all that stuff. So we're kind of sold on the idea that it's probably going to see some strength in the end. All right, now from there we'll go over to the last of the currencies we're following, and that is the Canadian dollar. And it's doing the same thing as it's losing against the dollar. When it goes up like this, it's losing against the dollar, and it's following the path of the yen and the Swiss, the same situation. Let's put it up over here. Right there. Just marching up, marching and marching. So we're really not. As you can see, it's been in a weekly buy over here for a while. It's way up there, and maybe it'll try to do a little correcting, but overall, it's way above the manifolds, which is really screaming. It's interesting that they're that far off. Obviously, they do not want to. They don't have any look like they want to. They want to basically buy Canadian dollars. It doesn't look like that at all. So, all right, there's the S&Ps again. You can see that. Now let's go over to the energies and look at it like we have the Canadian up on JA4X. So let's take a look at crude oil. There's crude. It is up today. You can see it's trying to come up to the zero line. It's only minus 0.09. It's playing with a weekly sell again. The lack of growth on the planet does have some influence. Also, the war premium is starting to back off a little bit. It's a combination of both of it. The way the Israelis are dealing with the West Bank, or not the West Bank, Gaza. It's obviously the oil markets in the world are not as nervous anymore as what they thought could be. And so everybody's got bills to pay. Basically, that's what it comes down to. Everybody's got bills to pay. So, it's very hard to do embargoes anymore. The days of the embargo were when they had no bills, and they could shut down oil wherever they wanted and didn't have to worry about it. Now, they have a lot of obligations, so they need to keep on pumping and pumping and pumping. All right, from there, we go over to natural gas. Natural gas trying to lift. Look at that. I mean, it's the algorithm is still minus, but we're in weekly buys, so maybe that's why it keeps on trying to lift. Every time it gets into a buy, it has a positive effect. So we'll keep an eye on that one. It looks like it could, if we can get that histogram, moving back up with the price action that high up, should be very good. It should be very bullish. All right, from there we go over to the Brent. Let's take a look at Brent. We see what natural gas is doing in the States here. Let's just take a look at natural gas, that natural gas company in Spain, and then we'll go over to Brent and take a look at it, how it's trading against the West Texas. Let's see, Brent, Spain, that's right, stocks. There we are. So we're going to look at the energy company down in Spain that we follow. It's been trading in the 26 area, as high as 85 and as low as 26.20. Today, you can see on the screen already, it's 26.76. It's moving up a little bit more than it was yesterday. And we can move over to our beta, because it gets it on there. That's what's going to be fun about the beta. It gets a lot more things than our other platform. Right there. And you'll be able to see right there. You can see it's trying to get into the buy. The second day? I think it's the second day. And that's the weekly. Daily, it's in itself for a day or two, pressing down because of that move from the 85-ish area and back down. Now it's trying to get back into the buy. We'll see how this, you can see our green line has turned up dramatically. Look at that bend up. Is that bend up? Let me just make that bigger so we can see if it is, but I think it is. Yeah, see it's, no, yeah, it's green, that line now. So it's made a curve sharp up representing today's action. That's what it is. So this histogram is yesterday's histogram, I believe. And so that's part of our problem with our beta. We need to get that coding fixed, which they've been promising me they'll do over the last 5 weeks, and they haven't done it yet. So tomorrow I'm going to have to go down there and crack that whip. All right, and so you can see here the weekly is making a turn on the upside, which obviously, as we're not happy to see energy prices move up in Europe, that's for sure. All right, and then from there, let's put Brent up there and compare it to the West Texas. Usually the difference is the cost of transportation. So let's see. Not there, not there, not there, not there, not there. We'll find it. That's it right there. There it is. And so Brent popping up a little bit, just the same way that. Where is it at? Let's put this up in here. I'll put Brent up on it too. Right there. There's Brent. It's trying to make a turn. I've got a red dot. It's got a red Hinky-Yashki. You see the fast is at 25.8, 25.6 now. And the slow is at 29. It's trying to turn up. And you can see the histogram is still aiming down. And the same thing with the weekly is kind of shifting back and forth, actually. That's kind of interesting. Which is really interesting because, we went into the buy last week and then, fell out of it a little bit. We're still in it in West Texas. Let's just show you that. So West Texas closed in a buy, but it's playing with the weekly sell now, right there. Right there. That's the magic of it all. So that's pretty much the work that's going on in the energy sector. It's kind of firm, but not exploding, not nervous. No real pain being projected, except for the poor Europeans and their natural gas situation. That's costing a lot of money. All right. From there, we'll go over to the S&Ps. We can look around and see what's going on. You can see S&Ps are back down to the 188 right there. Short term has been in a little sell there from the 192 area, 191.50 to be exact. And you see this is a third bar into the sell. And now we are flirting with the largest of the intradays, playing with the sell area, but not there yet. So the news definitely put a chill into whatever action there was. And we'll just have to see how the rest of the day goes. See if this is a buying opportunity. I think it is. We'll see. The math will tell us in the end if it is or is not. So we're not really that concerned about it. All right. Now, what else can we say about any of this? Let's go take a look at the 5 daily charts of it all. There we are. So there's the S&P right there. And it's trying to climb into the buy. It's having its issues, but it's still battling to stay. The weekly is trying to turn up. It's moving. The slow is moving faster than the fast algorithm, which is interesting. And when it does that, let's see. Let me show you what happens when it does that. Let's see it. There. So we'll see. Usually something like that can be a sign of some strength to come. Now let's take a look at the Tech 100. Right there. Doing the same thing, trying to get into a buy. Same thing, the slow is moving faster than the fast algo. And let's put it up on J4X. Right there. Pressing up, trying to stay in the plus. It was plus 60 something, now it's minus 21. We'll see what they do throughout the trading day. That's the Tech 100. That's the Magnificent Seven in a sense. It's all the best companies that power our modern economy. And then from there, we'll take a look at the Grand Lady itself, and that is the Dow Jones Industrial Average. The very first, the greatest marketing material ever, a marketing tool for the New York Stock Exchange. You can see it was up higher. It's having its tough times about it all. Let's see if we can fix this a little bit. There we are. There's the 31st, and there is the 30th. So it's trying to turn up. It's not breaking through like the other two have. Then from there, we move over to the Russell, which is taking the position of the old NASDAQ, the most speculative of companies, low caps. You can see it's trying to do the same thing. It's trying to lift. We've been in that daily sell since here, and the weekly is not looking that well whatsoever. Usually when this lifts, it means speculative money is coming into the market, and that usually gives confidence to money managers. And that's pretty much what's going to happen in the end result. And so we will not see anything more than this choppy type of action, because speculative money is not rushing towards the Russell. When they start to rush towards the Russell, and you see the Russell go up, then you're going to see strength in the marketplace. When you see it doing what it's been doing, you will see weakness. It is a good leader. In many ways, it's like the let's put it up there, the cryptos right there. You can see it's trying to turn up, but it's in a sell for 4 days. The weekly is still the weekly, and it's still strong, and it's holding above the manifold with no problem whatsoever. But they're not willing to give it up, but they're not really doing anything. And if this stays up in here, I would believe that the stocks will turn up, because they seem to march together, and the crypto seems to lead the stock indices. Just as they started to slam it back in here. Where's it at? Let's see. August, July. And they slammed it down into the 17s. We saw the stock market have that same issue. And then it was a higher low here at the end of September, whereas the S&P 500 right there in the end of September did the same thing. It did a little, the end of September right there, and it's trying to bounce up, but not bounce as well as the cryptos have. And the cryptos keep on showing strength. I think that will help. And if then you see the Russell 2000 start to lift, then you know that money is starting to come in. All right. What should we call the title of this today? Trying to think what we have. If anybody wants to see anything, let us know. Well, I'm trying to think what kind of title we should put up there today. I know yesterday we put that title in there about interest rates. Maybe today we put something in there about gold, because I really think that gold is trying to tell us that they want to go higher. So I think that as much as you see like the weakness in silver today and so forth, we're seeing that strength in platinum. So I think the metals are trying to base in here. And as much as everybody thought that they would have taken off like a month ago, which they did. I mean, you have a war going on, and also there's no doubt that it really put a charge into everything. But I think that we're going to call this today that metals look like a bottom. That's what we're going to do. We're going to call it that, because that's what it does look like. That title. Sir, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's up? We're not going today. It's Thursday.
Oh, Thursday. Okay.
Yeah, it took a while to figure it out.
All right. No problem.
Go to the website.
Yeah, I hear you there. I'm just finishing up the webcast. I'll give you a ring right back. No problem. Bye-bye. Let's see. Title is, let's see. Gold is looking strong. Let's see, gold base looking strong. How about that? That looks good description of it all. All right, traders, we're out of here. This is Doc from North America. I don't see anybody asking to see anything. We will catch you all tomorrow. Same time, same channel. It is Happy to Hump Day tomorrow, middle of the week, and November 1st. So, happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. Later, traders.